Wait till they get a load of me.
Hi, I'm Jared Lindley, and this is Jared's video breakdown of some movies. In this inaugural feature, I will try to explain why we as a fan base like certain villains in certain movies. This video will feature some of the most iconic bad guys to ever hit the big screen.
You can call me Joker.
And here we go.
So why exactly do we like these characters? Is it how Hollywood portrays them? Is it the acting? Is it the writing? One thing we can always take away from these characters are how quotable they seem to be.
You want to know how I got these scars?
Or is it the science of how fans may find ways to relate to these evil characters? Or could it be all of the above? So I got one more question for you.
How about a magic trick?
Let's kick off the heart of this piece by pointing out how terrific the acting is in these movies. And that's mostly because they are played by really great, well-known actors. Jack Nicholson throughout his career is always tapped for a leading role. He was perfect for this role because he already had experience playing a crazy guy in the film version of Stephen King's The Shining.
Wendy, I'm home.
Heath Ledger will always be known for his portrayal of the Joker, but what makes him so good can be touched on through one particular scene in the movie The Dark Knight. Him having to press the button multiple times, over and over again, was an accident, not planned at all. This was entirely Heath Ledger improvising. But the great thing about it is that moment felt like a Joker moment. And then there's Anthony Hopkins, or Sir Anthony Hopkins, a title that he has so earned. He, along with Heath Ledger, will always be remembered for their portrayals as their respective characters. Take this quote by NPR's Laura Siddell. He's the creation of crime novelist Thomas Harris, but it was Anthony Hopkins' portrayal of him in the film The Silence of the Lambs that turned him into one of the most notorious fictional villains in American pop culture.
You're very frank, Clarice. I think it would be quite something to know you in private life.
To kind of coincide with the acting are the such memorable quotes or one-liners that I'm sure all of us have said at least one time.
What do you believe in?
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
A census taker once tried to test me. I ate his liver with some fava beans and a nice Chianti.
And we can't forget about the strong dialogue scenes that occur between the bad guys and their lead protagonists.
You still wake up sometimes, don't you? You wake up in the dark and hear the screaming of the lamb.
But we are not the only one that loves these characters. Hollywood does as well. The earliest that any of these movies was made, either one featuring Hannibal Lecter or the Joker, was Batman in 1989. Since that movie, there have been 5 that includes either of these characters. Famous cinema producer Dino De Laurentiis, who produced over 700 films, many hits among them, saw the compelling nature and irresistibility of Hannibal Lecter right away, and he optioned the right to use that character from Harris in any future properties. To drive the point of Lecter's intrigue home, in an article by Michael Fuchs about NBC's Hannibal, he points out the continued intrigue of Lecter's interests. For the character is both linked to the cultured taste of classical music and the barbaric taste of human meat. He is simultaneously a connoisseur of fine art and a brute driven by instincts.
Hannibal, confess. What is this divine-looking amuse-bouche?
If I tell you, I'm afraid you won't even try it.
Hollywood knows that we'll want to watch these characters. Take this clip from earlier.
And as you can see, I'm a lot happier.
Notice the very upbeat music while the Joker's absolutely destroying this guy with bullets. And yet, do you hate him right now? Because I don't. I don't condone what he's doing, but I'm finding it hard to hate him. Touché, Tim Burton.
What a day.
Writer J.M. Tyree makes a sarcastic but fitting remark when it comes to good versus evil in these films. There were so many heroes around, in fact, that one might wonder how the criminal element manages to thrive at all. Unless the answer, as Heath Ledger's Joker suggests near the end of The Dark Knight, is that the hero and the villain require each other completely, so that one cannot exist without the other. And the cycle of escalating acts of good and evil is a perpetual motion machine set to continue for all eternity, or at least a substantial run of sequels and spin-offs. He's talking about the numerous villains and heroes facing off against each other, but brings it to reality because Hollywood knows that good versus evil sells. Now here's where it gets a little real and somewhat scary. Some believe that we identify with these characters. Sigmund Freud viewed human nature as inherently antisocial, biologically driven by the undisciplined ID's pleasure principle to get what we want when we want it, born to be bad, but held back by society. Even if the psyche fully develops its ego, source of self-control, and superego, conscience, Freudians say the ID still dwells underneath and it wishes for many selfish things, so it would love to be supervillainous. Essentially what he's saying, these villains are acting out what we all want. Okay, so most of us don't want murder and mayhem, but these men always seem to have the answer for everything and always seem to be one step ahead. Cigar Vare points out, well, the first and foremost point is that this is fiction, and this is written to create a serial killer who is terrifying and somehow invokes a sense that the threat is very real. The reason being that seemingly normal people are capable of such things is what makes it so dangerous. Now this quote is talking about Hannibal Lecter, but it works to describe the Joker as well. Quoting author Daniel Boskeljohn, acting relative to moral law, the Joker clearly indicates a preference for its negation, living a life of almost impossibly perfect depravity, resulting in his decision to push others into lives of evil, preying on the frail hearts of others and exposing the capacity for humans to choose self-interest over what is morally good, which is exactly what he did with Harvey Dent and states it in this clip.
You need an ace in the hole. Mine's Harvey. What did you do? I took Gotham's White Knight and I brought him down to our level. It wasn't hard. See, madness, as you know, is like gravity. All it takes is a little push.
Now I know I've thrown a lot at you and there's a lot to consider. Whether it's scientific or not, fans will continue to enjoy these characters. Fans in Hollywood alike will always want them. Proof being that the Joker is set to appear in the next wave of DC films. So, was it a good trick?
I'm gonna make this pencil disappear. Ta-da! It's gone.
Yes, I realize that there are probably fans that dislike these characters, which is understandable. They are evil men. Even so, you cannot dispute these characters' entertainment value. We may find ways to relate to these characters, and at the same time they find ways to entertain us and help us escape reality for a few hours. Which isn't that what movies are supposed to do? So, how'd I do?
You didn't disappoint.
Neither did you, Heath Ledger. Rest in peace.